Well, welcome everybody back to the Subliminal Show. It has been super exciting just getting to know these different individuals coming from a variety of different stories and just being able to hear where their expertises are. Expertise, I guess. I don't think expertise is actually a word. But today I have the honor of having Joel. Joel Williams where are you originally from? California?
Long Beach, California, yes.
Long Beach, California, yeah. It is a master's degree in business psychology, right?
It is actually IO Psychology, sir.
Industrial organization psychology.
Yes.
Okay. A lover of video games and
yes.
Absolute fantastic dad from what I've heard. Joel, is there anything you want to just introduce to everybody? And
hello. No, you covered the bases. Yeah, I mean, both my parents grew up around that area in Long Beach, California. Both of them were in the military, so they were retired veterans. So I lived in a few different states. You know, my dad eventually got a job in Fort Knox. Then we moved to Lexington, and then Lexington, well, off and on.
So a lot of travel, it seems like, just moving to different places.
I spent a lot of time. I like to vacate. I like to go a lot of places. I've visited a lot of places. I've been to about 40 out of 50 states.
All right, so we will kind of start this conversation specifically with your IO Psych degree, as well as kind of your expertise in that area. But what kind of began your desire to want to pursue that in your education?
Mainly, the industrial side of it, really, because when you're working with like people and machines, I think UPS really set me up for that because it's a whole lot of moving parts with that job. So with that job, you have to be able to kind of focus and kind of be mentally stable at UPS because it's a 24-hour company. There's a lot of moving things going on.
Yeah.
So at first wasn't my first choice. My first choice would be a mechanical engineer. But, funds, so I had to transfer to a different school. So I picked something relatively close because I was going to minor in psychology. So I was like, let's see what we can do with it.
Yeah. What do you love most about your field?
People. I mean, you get to see all walks of life. Hence, over the years, I've worked with a lot of different individuals and people in, manufacturing settings, non-manufacturing settings, and business settings. So, it's mainly about the people. People are quirky and interesting individuals, and you get to learn a lot because a lot of folks have different backgrounds.
Yeah,
that's another thing. I like to be cultured. So, where people come from, I like to understand like how things went for them growing up, or how things are for them, why you do things a certain way. So, it's one of the things I like to understand the individual I'm dealing with.
Yeah. There is so much more to an individual when you begin to learn, their story, where they come from, kind of things they deal with on a daily basis, and so
everybody's writing a book.
Yeah.
But in that book, it's a continuation. So I was trying to tell Rick today. I was like, everybody's still writing stories.
Mm-hmm.
So your story's up to you. So a lot of folks have different, like I said, like you said, different backgrounds, and you learn a lot about people.
Would you pursue, because this has kind of been a conversation we've had on the show as of late, do you pursue a career because of your dreams and what you want to do, or do you do it because you have to do it, or is it kind of a combination of both?
I think it's kind of a combination of both because, of course I have not hit my plateau yet. I'm still trying to find that one job that's going to be, that has self-gratification. So it's a continuous thing that I'm working on. So I really don't know yet.
Yeah. So it's kind of more of a process of and a combination of both of working towards your dreams and goals, but also you have to take those steps to get there.
Exactly. Yeah. So of course dreams and goals are different for everybody, but of course mine would be, I don't want to work for anybody. I want to be on the beach with my shirt on and beer in hand and my flip-flops and just sitting on the beach, just not doing anything, making money work for myself. So, I think in the long term, you have to, in order to make money, you got to put money in it. So, one of those things why everybody works to retire at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So really putting in that work up front to get to the goal of where you want to be.
Yeah. You got to put the work in somewhere. So if you put in the work now, later, you're still putting that same work, but you're gonna have a better result.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's more about the ethic behind why you do what you do instead of like the nitty gritty of what specifically that job is.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any advice on like how to balance those things? And obviously, kids and family is a big part of that, but just kind of in that conversation of balancing work, life, and family, is there any advice or things that you've done to maintain that balance?
Yeah, my parents help a lot. My girlfriend, she chips in. She does a lot of things to help out and give me some balance. Sometimes she'll take them out to the movies, or my parents will take them out to eat, or take them to the park. So they give me a little free time so I can recharge, and because they know what I go through on a regular basis at work, and just going and trying to maintain and make sure everything's still running and functioning. They help out a lot. So my family support is probably more the thing that helps me most.
Yeah. Yeah, so really that value of having those people that are closest to you be able to help you in just support kind of all these things that you're
of course, my
juggle.
friends. Yeah, I mean, friends, I love them. So they help too. I forgot about them. So.
just throw them under the bus there a little bit.
Yeah. It's okay. They'll be okay.
Yes. If they're anything like my friends, they can stand they can be through being thrown under the bus a couple times, and they'll be like, it's all right.
They're all characters. Yeah.
As a manager, what have kind of you found to be the best way to like form a team and kind of carry that positive mentality?
I mean, you mainly have to kind of. It's a hard question, but it's an easy question because when you got to understand personalities. I think that's where it starts first. Understand personalities, and who's going to mesh well with who. Like if one person has an anger management problem, you can't put them with somebody that has the same anger management problem, because otherwise you're just going to have two guys that are going to come fight, which is a problem. So you kind of have to have this idea of like who works well with who likes to do this. It's like you just kind of monitoring situations at all times, and you want the best situation and the best outcome when you're trying to manage other individuals, and you want to be sensitive to needs too. And that's another thing I always consider, because I understand people have a life. I understand it totally. So with that, I was like, I want to be fair, but also I need you to get your job done too. So
So really that wanting to go the extra mile, to want to care for your team, and being able to navigate kind of those difficult spaces of, sometimes you'll have employees that won't get along and
exactly, that's part of the workplace. But everybody wants to feel like they're valued. Yeah, and that's what I try to do. I want to make sure like you're valued as a team member, and I care about you as a person, not as a worker, but I care about you as a human being. Like I know you're here to work. Yeah, I get that. But also want you know that if you need something, I will come and help you.
Yeah. I think that's really critical and cool that you've engaged in that, of wanting to go that extra mile of because I feel like there's just so many and almost too many companies that it's a transaction of you're there to fulfill your numbers and go home, and it's cool that
just a number. It's cold, it's bitter, like there's no partnership. Like if there's no partnership, why would you work well? And also it has something to do with productivity. So the happier their employee, the more productive they are. So which most employers don't. Most employers just want you to come to work, do a job. You can make friends on the job, but other than that, that's all that's really happening. So it's just the same mundane thing all over again. So eventually you're gonna get burnt out. Like, all right, it's time to go somewhere else. So therefore your team's just dismantled and you got problems again. Try to fit this other piece in that may or may not work. You don't know till you got to talk to the other three pieces.
What are some traits that you've kind of seen in your employers or management that you've kind of both sides of things that you valued in kind of your higher ups, as well as things that you're like, I wish they would have done things differently in a general sense?
feedback, like actually taking feedback and being more useful with it. Like if someone gives you feedback, actually provide a good solution. Just don't ignore it. Like try to value that person and give them knowledge and why you went the other way opposed to why they went that way. So, or at least try to meet that person in the middle and both you all settle. Right. Yeah, you're listening to what they're saying and listening to positive change. And everyone's positive change, but what happens with most companies is they don't accept that feedback and then just ignore it.
Yeah.
Which creates a problem for, future employees and your company. Because if you don't correct the problem, you're always it's gonna be the same problem all the time with no solution.
Kind of in your journey as just to become where you're at and being a manager, has there been any managers or higher ups that you've really valued, either seen as like a mentor?
Oh yes, at my last job, he taught me a whole lot about the furniture game.
Yeah,
and I learned a lot from Travis. Travis helped me a whole lot. Helped me basically figure the ins and outs. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. He was definitely one of my favorite managers. Like, I mean, if he wasn't my favorite, I wouldn't travel to Louisville to work for him.
Yeah.
I worked for that man for 6 years, and there was 7 of us, and we loved Travis because he always took care of us. He was a good manager. He taught me the ins and outs of being a good manager, what you need to do, and then how you keep people happy. You don't lie to them. You tell them, be honest with them. If you're honest with them, they'll do nothing but try to help you and do for you as a team. And then he taught me a whole lot.
Would you have any advice on what it means to like be a good teacher? You're teaching your employees what you learned when under your manager. So any advice to kind of continuing that cycle?
Yeah, patience. Like when you're explaining stuff, you have to be patient. And that's the main thing. And you want to explain. Patience and explanation are probably the 2 best things you need. That's just me, but I think those things are very helpful. Will help you and the individual if you do those 2 things. Like, you can't sit there and rush stuff. You have to actually, lead sometimes, and hopefully they'll pick up and follow. Yeah. If not, you just kind of keep going step by step till you can get to where you feel comfortable they can do it on their own. I mean, that's kind of with anything. Like at some point, if you're in a new position, you have to learn and teach. Someone's teaching you something if you're in a different position, right? Yeah. Or when you go to another job, you have to learn their system. You have to learn how they do things. So at some point, someone's always teaching and showing you how to do something. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that continual cycle of learning. Yeah, so it almost sounds like there's a little theme of humility there as well, of not wanting to just step in and be like, all right, it's my way or the highway, of like, clearly you've been doing things wrong, therefore I need to implement my plan. But also, wanting to healthily integrate it and then slowly begin to work on those changes and build up those more like those better practices. Yeah, having professional courtesy. So you need at some point you have to implement your plan, but you kind of want to see how they did it their way and how to make sure their way doesn't take you down the wrong path. So you kind of your way and their way and make it your own. Yeah. All right. So I know we talked about a little bit about this before we kind of went into the manager conversation, but what are some activities that you like to do with your kids? Oh man, there's so many. I mean, let's see here. I mean, we like to go on a lot of walks. It's one thing we do like to do. Of course, video games. We love playing. Watching movies. I watch a lot of movies with my daughter. She's a huge fan of Marvel. Yeah. So, like, all the Marvel shows that come out, I watch them. It's like, come on, Dad, we gotta watch Marvel shows. Yeah. Then my son, he's been playing Fall Guys, so I've been trying to play that with him. Don't understand it. I just run around and keep all my stuff. So, hey, whatever. Enjoyment. Yeah. It's connectiveness. I mean, that's how I'd say it. Like, we connect when we play because, on certain games, they'll ask me for my help a lot because they don't know this. I mean, sometimes they just can't even do it. So, like, they
Yeah.
know they're halfway decent. So I come
Mm-hmm.
in and help. It's one
Yeah.
of those things like, well, if I can't do it, he was always going to come and help me. And with video games, it's one of those things like it's a bonding experience. And,
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong when you're playing or you're playing Mario Kart. You may not win all the races, but you kind of have a break even time. Everybody likes to talk a little smack when they're in Mario Kart, especially
Yeah.
my kids.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like I was like, all right, fine, we can do 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever loses doing dishes. So we make little
Yeah.
wagers.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's chores involved. You want to talk trash in Mario Kart? All right. Exactly, and that's what it is. Some people just like to play. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's something I grew up with. I've had a Nintendo since I don't know. I was about 4 years old when they first came out. I had an original Nintendo, and I think that's where it started. Then
Yeah.
after that, I always had game systems.
Yeah.
It's just that love and joy of
Mm-hmm.
playing a piece of art that someone's made, and that's
Yeah.
basically what I try to teach my kids.
Mm.
Like when people are making stuff, they're making stuff for your enjoyment, and also making stuff because it's a piece of art. If you really dissect, the animations and the colors and
Mm-hmm.
the realism of it. So just not just don't play, like actually pay attention to the artwork sometimes and how it's made, and think. I mean, you don't have to go to a normal school. You can go to make video games or be a
Yeah.
graphic design artist. It's also an
Mm-hmm.
avenue. That's another reason why we play, because you get to see other aspect other than working a 9 to 5. You can actually go and work from home and play on your computer
Mm-hmm.
making games. So
Yeah.
there's a different take on how we do things in my house a little bit when it comes to
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
think.
both my kids are
Mhm.
artists, so for them, they're seeing the colorways like Splatoon 3. Like
Mm-hmm.
that came out I think like 2 weeks ago, and it's more vivid, and then there's a lot of colors in it.
Yeah.
And there's whole lot going on, but I have no clue what I'm supposed to be doing. All I know,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I know. I was like, all right, let's paint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like, so we'll play that a lot too,
Mm.
covering areas. And most of the time, I get beat. I was like, what's going on? Got the wrong weapon. That's what happens.
But if you had to advise an up and coming father, like an expecting father, what would you want to say to them? Or maybe what would you want to say to yourself as you were preparing to be a dad?
Preparing to be a dad. Well, it's going to be one of those things. Like we talk about patience,
Mm-hmm.
because you're trying to care for this little person that can't do nothing. So you can't do nothing but have patience and care.
Yeah.
Be understanding that you are taking care of a living soul, and you need to do your best to make sure that they're well taken care of, because they can't do anything. So
Mm.
you have to really be on your P's and Q's and make sure you're doing the right things to make sure you maintain their health.
Yeah.
And anything you used to do before that doesn't matter anymore. You got someone else to take care of. So
Mm.
as an upcoming father, patience, and understand you won't sleep for a while. You got that. So just make sure you get well rested for 9 months. That's another thing. Make sure
Yeah.
you're well rested for 9 months. You're gonna lose some sleep for the next 4 to 5 years.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, then depends on the temperament of the kid. That's another thing too.
Yeah.
So you may not lose no sleep. Just be prepared for all things the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it really goes back to kind of where we started that conversation of working with individuals and these employees of everybody's
That
unique
work
and different.
patience. Yeah,
Yeah, and you
yeah, you gotta
gotta
have
you gotta work with that
patience.
patience, and
Yeah,
kids are no different. Everyone's gonna be
exactly. That's
unique.
hilarious. You tied those two together.
Yeah. Hey man,
But yeah,
what would like be some of the most valuable traits that like a dad could have, or parents in general?
humbleness. You gotta have humbleness, man. Because you gotta realize it's not everybody can have kids, and it's one of those things like it's
Mm.
a special gift.
Yeah.
And with that, you gotta really, really think about choices and decisions that you make, because not only you're making decisions for yourself, but you're making decisions for somebody else.
Mm.
Forgiveness. I think that's a very admirable trait, because when I mean forgiveness, I mean, like, you're gonna have to understand kids are gonna make mistakes, and you have to sometimes forgive those mistakes, even though they may be costly to them. But you can't be mad and upset. As a parent, you have to be understanding. That's another thing. That's another thing must be is very understanding, because you have to understand that they're still growing, so they're gonna make poor choices, and it's good to the parent to give them the correct advice and be caring. That's another one. Be caring. So you got to be caring, understanding, and forgiving. I know it's a lot for some parents, but those are the things that are most admirable for dads. Because if you can do those three, kids gonna be a-okay. And loving. You're like, a lot of attention, love on them. Because as they get older, they're gonna run from you and don't want to mess with you no more. So love on them.
Yeah.
Be that dad that loves on your kids. Don't be a stone cold, I don't love my kids, or don't want to show any affection. Show a lot of affection. It's another thing. Show a lot of affection to your kids, because you want your kids to love. I do a lot with my kids. Like, I'm always hugging on them, messing with them, playing with them.
Yeah.
Their dad cares about them a lot, and I'm always there for them. Because, you know, at the end of the day, they're representing you. So you want your best product. You want to put all your effort into your best product, and that's always going to be someone that's related to you, that you've nurtured and took care of. So you want to put the best in them. So whatever you are as a father, it reflects on them. So if you're quirky or smart or whatever, it's going to reflect in your kids and your manners and how you treat people. So I always treat people with respect, and that's how my kids treat people with respect. So as a dad, you have to remember that you're a mirror. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Your reflection, even though you're in that mirror, but your reflection, your kids are right behind you in that mirror. They can see your reflection.
Is there anything else you want to add to that? Any kind of closing statements or your advice?
No, this was I've really enjoyed the conversation, man. I really appreciate it. It gave me a chance to open up and kind of think about things. And
yeah, I appreciate you being willing to come on and talk about these things, and really open up about these things that are close and personal to you. And I think there was a lot in there that is just solid advice, and I think it was kind of interesting as we discovered that in some ways that the similarities between what it takes to be a good manager and manage your company, as well as what it takes to be a loving and caring father. And obviously, like those two worlds are very different, and one is more important, or should be more important than the other.
Depends on the individual, right?
Yes, depends.
A lot of things happen because that person's a workaholic, and all of a sudden something else falls out.
Yep.
And you have real problems.
But thank you again for being willing to sit down, and for those who watched, thank you, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us we're on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. I think we do have a TikTok. It's been a while since I've posted, but I think I need to get back to it. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh yeah, podcast. The full version is on any podcast network. We have our website, have our merch store. You can get this sweet sweatshirt embroidered logo.
Your embroidered logo.
Yes.
Okay. Repping the gear.
Repping the gear. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.